Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Life Money Balance Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Preston Cherry, where we talk about letting your life lead your money, not your money leading your life, where your life and money work concurrently to help you achieve your life's design. And we talk about the figures and the feelings of your money to help you get you where you need to go. And if you like what you hear about the show, then like and subscribe and share to your family and friends so they can get where they need to go too. All right, let's chop. I was in a conversation this week with somebody and I heard something that said I need to record a show about that. And I know you could relate to it too, because I hear a lot of folks talk about this and I read a lot about it in the media. And folks are talking about this a lot, and particularly Gen X. I heard this person say, I am getting my child off of the bank of mom and dad. I'm getting my child off the bank of mom and dad. And some of you may have heard the title of taking care of your adult children and how far you should go with that. And when we're talking to our clients here at Concurrent, this is a serious matter, because when you're talking with Gen X or baby boomers and the like, and they have adult children, well, how far do you take taking care of your adult children? Contributing finances to their lifestyle, their finances, in order to help them in their life at the consequence of your own finances, your own current lifestyle, and your own retirement in the future. There are some staggering numbers out there, or just reports and people just expressing themselves about their own money all the time, particularly Gen X. They're the sandwich generation, meaning they have adult children and they are caring for aging parents. And they have their own lifestyles that they are, aspiring for, and they have their own future retirements that they're trying to save for. So they're sandwiched between a lot. They're handling a lot. And no matter what study that you turn to, they are consistently saying that they are worried about their finances. Gen Xers are worried about their finances. And they also want to live too. They want to say, well, how do I live now and also secure my retirement? How do I do both? And how do I also give to my adult child and make sure that they don't have to perhaps struggle the way that I did a little bit? And how do I make the next generation better? But then you come with the, how far should I go? I share with a lot of people that this is not my line. I wish it was my line, which is nobody likes to be should on, which nobody likes to be should on. That's not my line, but I wish that was my line. But there's some good shoulds and there's some bad shoulds. But how far should you go with supporting your adult child? Well, here's one thing for a fact, is that your younger adult child has time and you don't. Your younger adult child has time and you don't. So how far should you go supporting them? And where it generally starts is asking yourself the question, how comfortable are you of what you've done for them? What it reminds me of the song Janet Jackson. It says, "What have you done for me lately?" Dun-dun-dun. Remember that song? That was a jam, y'all. Ooh, yeah, right. That was a jam, right? So how comfortable are you with what you have done for your children? How comfortable are you with what you have done for your children? That's one of the first questions that you have to ask yourself. And what are you willing to do more of at the sacrifice of your own journey? And there's a lot out there right now. I know it's concerning for adult children right now. They're living with a lot. They're living with, high cost of living. But aren't we all? As Gen X and boomers are in retirement right now. And Gen X, they're living right now with their lifestyle and also going into retirement. They're having to deal with their own cost of living areas. And then those that are coming up, as far as generations are concerned, millennials, Gen Zers, and the like, everyone's dealing with high cost of living at their own life stages. That's a very fair and valid fact. That said, you have to put your own air mask on first in order to save others. If you're passing that air mask, I know that's cliche, but if you're passing that air mask on to other folks, and you're expired, you're passing on, you're dead, unfortunately, right? And there's a lot of cost of living factors. There's cost of living factors. There's housing, there's food, school, education expenses, medical, transportation, just having a good lifestyle, that they're all inflated. That's a fact. That said, folks got to take care of keep your eye on your own luggage. You've been in the airport, right? They tell you, keep your eye on your own luggage, take care of your own luggage. Now, I know we have, as parents, I just had a 4-month-old, me and my wife, but I'm Gen Xer myself, and I talk to my clients, I'm hearing their stories and whatnot, and I hear the stories all the time. Yes, you want to make the next generation better, no question, but to what extent? And I'll share some data with you here in a little while. It's staggering, the numbers, to what extent and at what sacrifice of your own heir, of your own retirement, of your own lifestyle, your own life. How far are you willing to take that, and for how much longer? Because it's unsustainable. It is unsustainable. How are those conversations going with, yourself in the mirror, your spouse, your adult children? How are those conversations going? So in order, how is those conversations going on with yourself, and how are those conversations going on with your children? Have you had them? How are you setting expectations and time frames and boundaries with with the financial support? How is that going? How is that? Have they started? Are there check-ins? Are there boundaries, limits? Are there cutoffs? Are there how are those conversations, expectations, boundaries going? Limits? Okay. What is being funded? What meaning it? What is it? What areas of life is being funded? Is it education? Is it how being a down payment on a house? Is it utility support? And why? And why are we funding one of these? What can be done differently as far as not only the support, but what can be done from the adult child's point of view? There's alternatives that can be done, and that can replace the parents' support, ongoing support. I mean, here are some statistics that are staggering. First of all, I wrote an article about this shout out to my CNBC folks, but I wrote an article about this called How Gen X Can Transform Worrying About Their Finances to Flourishing. So, and in there, Gen X, 61%, there's a study that says 61% of Gen X don't feel good about their prospects of achieving their retirement goals. 61% of Gen X don't feel good about their prospects of achieving their retirement goals. That's a lot of folks. And in another study, there are about 61% of adult children living with their parents saying they don't contribute any household expenses, including rent. So in one study, you have 61% of Gen X saying that they don't feel good about their retirement prospects. And then you have another large group of folks that just happen to, not be Gen X, but you just have a large group of adult children, all right, saying that they live with their parents, adult children living with their parents, and they're not contributing anything to the household. That's staggering. All right. Here's another statistic that I found alarming. Well, not alarming, just staggering. 58% of parents agree that they have sacrificed their own financial security for the sake of their adult children. And last year, or the year before, 37% say the same. So there's an increasing amount of parents saying that they have sacrificed their own security for the benefit of their adult children. And not only that, they're sacrificing their own security. They're not even getting any contribution from their adult children if they're staying with their parents. 47% of parents still cover their costs of their adult children, including vacations and credit card payment. There are some areas where parents are covering for their adult children. Okay. Groceries and food, cell phone, and rent and mortgage. Okay. And this is outside of, when I say rent and mortgage, this is outside of those folks that are adult children that are staying at home. Because remember, in that one statistic, the adult children are staying at home and not contributing at all. Then there's those folks those adult children that are staying on their own, and then the parents are contributing to their rent and mortgage. Here's some more areas of contribution: health care, tuition. Discretionary spending is a big part. Discretionary spending, okay? Student loans. So, and remember, the Generation X still has a big portion of their own student loans that they're still paying off, right? So, and the reason why I'm saying Gen X a lot, because some of you may be listening and say, okay, one study says, focusing on adults, children staying with their parents. So, and then I'm also saying, Gen X in another study, and why are these statistics, are they conflated a little bit? Well, yes, they're two separate studies, but adult children more than likely are staying with a Gen X parent or a Boomer parent, more than likely a Gen X. Now, I'm 45, and many of my students, or not the students, I'm a professor as well, but many of my clients and my friends and all, they just do the maths, right? Many of these folks have 19, 20, 21, 22, 20, up to 25-year-olds staying, or children, right? So these are Gen Xers, all right, or younger boomers, okay, but mostly Gen Xers. Gen Xers are anywhere between 40 and 56, somewhere around there. So it is that generation, and these are the folks that are most worried about their retirement. They are most sandwiched between adult children and parents, and they're also they're living right now because they're thriving in their most vital. They have their life stage vitality. They have vitality, energy. They have the most spiritual energy. They know themselves. They have high incomes, and they're thriving, right? They have good physical ability. Everything's thriving, yet they have all these burdens on top of them that they're worried about. And they're also trying to take care of all of these aspects of life, financial and feeling, and trying to prioritize which one that they do. And sometimes it's at the sacrifice of themselves. Okay. And so when I'm speaking with clients and hearing these folks out, or I'm reading in the media and these folks are on the discussion boards and commenting on these articles, and you see the studies and the reports, then what comes? What to do? And it really starts with that first conversation. Are you comfortable with what have you done for your children up to this point? And number one and number 1A and 1B is, do you have the bandwidth to support your lifestyle, your retirement, and your adult children fully? And the key word there is fully. Okay? Because you can support adult children, but can you support them fully as you've done up to this point, right? So there's going to have to be a audit of that support, both in feeling and figures. Remember that we talk about both, right? Feeling and figures, because if those monies continue to be funded in other areas besides lifestyle well-being, your lifestyle well-being, and your current lifestyle well-being, and your future security retirement, then that's going to suffer. And while you're funding other priorities that don't affect you right now, okay. Those are hard. Those are challenging conversations. I oftentimes say that difficult conversations, sometimes if you label them difficult, then you won't have them, although they are. And then they become head in the sand conversations, and people just simply won't have them because they're difficult. However, if they're challenging conversations, it's a challenging conversation, no question. But if it's a challenging conversation, you may have them. That said, it's a must. Difficult and or challenging, however you frame it, they're must-haves. They're must-haves because continuing on the path that it's currently on, the result is going to remain the same. The outcome is going to be guaranteed. All right. One of the stats that I saw, and we'll come back to, was staggering, was that working parents contribute 2.5 more to support adult children than they do to their own retirement accounts per month. Okay. That not funding their own retirement, again, at their own sacrifice. Okay. Now, look, I've had conversations, you've heard this too, particularly from Gen Xers. We've been latchkey kids, to where you used to come home from work your parents used to come home from work and you opened up the house and nobody was home, or your parents were working and you had to fend for yourself, do your homework, all that till they got home from work because you had working parents. We watched, MTV and all this other stuff, right? We had the bikes that we rode around the neighborhood and this and that. And we also went to school, universities, and got education. Some of it worked, some of it didn't. There's a lot of built up animosity in Generation X a little bit, and you'll also read in threads and media that there's a little pushback against the system, the man. All right, right. And did Gen X overprotect their children from not having to experience some of the things that they experienced? Did they overprotect? Right. And is this, and this is just conjecture here, but these are conversations. But please go on you're probably thinking of some of this yourself, perhaps, the Reddit boards and all this. These are real conversations, right? To have them not have to be in jobs that they didn't want to, or experience, quote unquote, social suffering, or, get the best out of their education, or not having to have too many school loans, or not having to be stuck, so to speak, or, not have to feel certain things or go through certain things, then you have a bubble around them, so to speak, right? Or have an opportunity to have 2 or 3 legs up by giving them more time. So if they have more time to recover, or not having to come up with so much savings for a down payment for a home, so giving more steps, which is great if you have the opportunity to do certain things, fantastic, right? And particularly if you do some of these things out of the gate, right? Reduce some school loan, provide for a couple of 2 or 3, 4 or 5 years of housing while they're going through some formative years, all of that. But what about that second, third, or fourth level continuous adult child funding and support? What about those levels? How long does it go? How long does it go to where you're funding that bubble? So you have to ask, these are where these conversations go, to asking yourself, where is this perpetualness coming from? Perpetual funding, the why, internally and externally. What's your audit of your finances? Can you sustain funding your current self, your future self, and your adult children? Because they have time you don't. And what are some corrective measures that are going to be necessary in order to bring about some harmony in your finances and your well-being, for that matter? Okay. All of this is necessary when you're talking about adult children, because the question is that is often repeated is, are parents ruining their finances or their retirement at the benefit of their adult children? And these are questions that we must have, because a lot of folks are looking at their finances saying that they can't find money. And then some of that money is found right here in this issue of funding their adult children, and particularly in areas where sometimes adult children can fall down and get back up because they have time, right? If they lose a job, they can get back up and find another job. If they do come back home and need home, they can contribute to the household. If they miss a vacation or two, they can have a staycation or something like that. You don't have to be on vacation. A vacation is a luxury. Those are right. That's not a must, right? Or the weddings to your friends and location weddings and such, right? Those are not things that need to be funded. Some of those things can be missed out on, right? And those things fall upon the parent. And sometimes those things need to be missed out on. As far as housing is concerned, yes, housing and food, all these things are expensive, for sure. Sometimes that means either staying at home with your parents and chipping in, and I'm speaking with the adults here, or the parents here, or having roommates in your early 20s. Allowing your children to room with friends. Having a sense of community. And see, those are those areas where some parents and it depends on what your value system are and what you're trying to protect your children from, and a whole host of things. This is why it's conversations with self. It has nothing to do with me, the financial advisor, or my value system. It is a conversation of self. And that's why I went into a little bit of what Gen X and boomers, particularly Gen X, what they went through as a generation. And, were they overdoing the protection of, what their children have to go through in life, in order to just go through life. Life is going to life, right? So are we overfunding the protection, right? And sometimes, you got to have roommates or something to lower the cost of living. You get out there and do that, right? Because again, young folks have time. All else equal, you don't. So that housing can be funded in different ways. Food can be budgeted for, even though it's a high cost right now. There's trade-offs in food. I know some of you can relate. We had, how many flavors of hamburger helper did you have back in the day? All right. Even, whatever class, so to speak, as far as how you grew up, you had some sort of mass meal that you created that last 2-3 days, right? Mine happened to be hamburger helper, right? But there was different flavors, right? So, but you knew how to stretch some stuff. And so you just adjusted, this is just economics. And no, we weren't eating, back in the day with Red Lobster, we weren't eating, luxury food all the time. Sometimes you ate, bulk food. There was adjustments. And when you're starting out early in life or as a young adult, there are things you just have to adjust to. And that's just what it is, right? So as an adult, as a parent, you in order to audit your own finances and where you want to go, when we talk about letting your life lead your money and achieving your life's design, your current self, your future self, securing your retirement, and auditing all of these areas of your life in order to align your life and money in a way that's going to secure your well-being and your wealth, to find harmony in your life. Well, these are one of those line items to where you say, how long am I going to, meaning the parents, going to continue to fund my adult children? All right. And how? Because you can, but how? Why? In what manner? What aspects? Right? Are you get to pick and you get to select. You get to select in what areas that are important so you can continue to build. And I appreciate that my parents invested in me and allowed and afforded me opportunity. Every parent wants to, most every parent wants to help their children advance and do better in the next generation. And intergenerational investments mean a lot in advancing the next generation, no question. And if you have the means, obviously, yes, you want to invest in and help your child grow and give them every opportunity to do. That said, you still have yourself to concern yourself about, and time is of the essence. And there's only so much air. You got to put your air mask on first, and so you can have your well-being. All right, that is the show. Put your air mask on first. Have those conversations. Have those audits, and continue to look at your own finances when you're talking about financing your adult children. That's what we got. We'll see you next time. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers.